guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. We love connecting with you guys through the I Love CVille network. We're live in Charlottesville, across the Commonwealth, the country, and the world here on the I Love CVille network, an aggregation of every social media platform known to mankind, where we utilize social and digital media for the good of the community to galvanize the community around events, causes, and efforts that are positive, influential, and help shape the outcome and the direction of where the community is heading. Today's show undoubtedly embodies those qualities. Jeff Dion, our guest, Justin Ritter, our guest. These guys are very integrated and a part and influential in the startup space, in the crowdfunding space, in the foundation of helping businesses grow and brands accumulate new clients and customers and revenue verticals. We'll explain how today on the I Love CVille show. We'll spend 30 minutes with Jeff and Justin championing an event that's around the corner at the Code Building, the Center of Developing Entrepreneurs, Geoffrey Woodruff's building, Tuesday, April 19th from 4:30 to 7 o'clock right here on the downtown mall. Judah Wickower is our director. We thank Ting Fiber Internet for being the internet that powers the I Love CVille network. Our friends at Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine for having your back, certainly having our back. Greenberry's Coffee, the longest running coffee roaster in Charlottesville, is Greenberry's Coffee. You can enter to win coffee for a year at enter.greenberries.com. Enter your email address and you can get a chance to get Java for a year. And of course, our friends at Skooma Boutique Dispensary, who are opening a second location on Elliowood Avenue. We're very pleased to work alongside David and his wife and his team as they grow that brand and business from now the downtown mall to the UVA corner and Elliowood Avenue. Judah, if we could, let's go to the studio camera and then a 3-shot and welcome Justin Ritter and Jeff Dion to the program. Gentlemen, I'm pumped. I see on the feed here 5 states watching the program. A lot of folks here in Northern Virginia, Richmond, Short Pump, Crozet, of course, Charlottesville and Southwestern Virginia on the feed. The program is yours. Jeff or Justin, we'll start with you. Sure. Introduce yourself to everybody that's watching this program.
Jerry, thank you for having me today. And Jeff, always awesome to see you. I'm the vice chair of the Charlottesville Business Innovation Council, CBIC for short. I'm also the program and events coordinator. I've been doing that for several years and have put on several events here in Charlottesville. One about crowdfunding, equity-based crowdfunding actually in 2017. One about hemp and the recent rollback of legislation there in 2019 pre-COVID. And we're here today primarily to talk about a new crowdfunding event, a live crowdfunding event where folks of any and all means can participate at the earliest stages of startup investment. And I'm really excited to be here. So thank you, Jerry.
Our pleasure. And we're going to get you in the mix here shortly, Jeff. And it's interesting, like in the last 2 weeks, we've hosted the team from Greenberry's Coffee on the show talking about equity crowdfunding. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 3 players across the Commonwealth that are in the CBD hemp space talking about the opportunities within that vertical. So what you guys are doing is innovative. You guys are cutting edge. You guys are trendsetters. We're going to get to it in a matter of moments. Before we do, Jeff, introduce yourself to all the folks watching the show.
Sure. Thanks again for having us here, Jerry. Really appreciate it. Seriously. I think the viewers of this show are exactly the kind of folks that we're looking to reach tonight because they're this whole event is about community. My little background is I moved here about 8 years ago from New England, spent much of my time in southern New England. When I moved here, spent probably the first 5 or 6 years in F&B and know quite a bit of the restaurants, restaurateurs, and restaurant folks and beverage folks in the community here. Slowly transitioned from that towards working with Roots for a few years, and then over that time really gained an interest in local economies, gained an interest in the local food scene and just a circular economy, keeping our money as tight as possible here. And that led me to WeFunder, which I work at now, actually based out of San Francisco. I'm able to live here though in Charlottesville, and I work with mostly just Virginia-based companies, helping them raise capital from their community.
I love it. The attorney, John Blair, giving us some props right now. The Esquire from Stanton. We love you, JB, quite a bit, watching the program. Tracy Green, hello. You were missed. Anytime you want, Tracy Green, you can come on the show. Wild Bill McChesney, welcome to the program. I see a delegate and 2 board of supervisors in Albemarle County on the show as we speak. All right, I'll get out of your way. Let's talk about the event. We're pumped. You got a fantastic location, the Code Building. I'll give the date, April 19th, 4:30 p.m., Irving Theater, Code Building. Fellas, what can we expect here?
I think we can expect a new form of and a new audience that can participate in awesome startups at the earliest stage. And why that's so important is that it's at the earliest stage. If you can get in on that level of investments, that's where the most inherent gains are, because that's where the lowest, say, pre-money valuations of a company exist. And a lot of times folks of ordinary means are excluded from startup investment because there's an accredited investor threshold that you must surpass to even really be in the room at sophisticated angel groups or to just be an angel investor at all. And Title III crowdfunding, what WeFunder is doing is allowing people of all means to be able to get in at the early stages. For example, this would allow folks of any means to be there for, say, the first Google seed investment, the first Facebook seed investment. That wasn't practically possible until now. And so that's why this is so important to me to be on this show today. I really appreciate being here, is just to allow more opportunity, the democratization of wealth in this country, and WeFunder's the primary group pushing that forward. And I can't, I'm not paid by WeFunder, I'm just a fan. And I'm a fan for my clients who I'm mostly doing seed stage and post-seed stage financings for. I'm excited for the opportunity that WeFunder and related portals will provide, and events like this will provide. This is the 3rd event in the country, and I think there's going to be hundreds more, and I hope that if this is successful, we can do this yearly, maybe semi-annually, because I don't want to get too far in the details, but in my opinion, this is the real deal, and I want people to attend next Tuesday.
Well, welcome folks from the Times-Dispatch to the program, the newsroom. I see you guys on the feed. Let's put this in very layman's terms, and then I'll throw it to you, Jeff. We have businesses that are local on a stage explaining to an audience what their business is about and outlining the potential of their business so the fans of their businesses, maybe their customers, can invest today for the piece of a pie tomorrow. Is that what's happening?
It's perfect, Jerry. You want a job?
That's right. That's what's happening, right?
Exactly.
I love the idea.
Exactly what's happening.
So it's Shark Tank meets Kickstarter at the Code Building.
Yeah. Meets community, really.
Yeah.
This is kind of this event is all about taking that, what you just mentioned, to the next level, right? For a while now, I mean, this community round thing at WeFunder has been around for 6 years now, right? And how it normally would work is I would be maybe working with a founder here in Virginia who's looking to raise capital. Maybe they're also raising money from angel investors. Maybe they're also raising money from venture capital. But maybe they have a great fan base and they also want to engage them and turn them into brand ambassadors of the business, right? We would build a profile together, and then they would send it out to their business community and their personal network in their own little niche, right? And then from there, we would bring it to the WeFunder community, and then they would be able to engage the WeFunder community. We're taking this a step back, and this is kind of a vision that, Justin and I are sitting here today, and because I think I engaged, did I engage you? I think I engaged him originally when I started working with WeFunder, and I said, hey man, like I've heard that you've just, as you mentioned, a great connector in the community and really tied in with the business community here. And we sat down, we had lunch, and we both had this beautiful vision of like, how wonderful would it be if, instead of just like the same 15 rich folks in Virginia participating in all the cap tables, all the investing in startups in the community, what if we had all of Charlottesville participating in startups in Charlottesville, participating, investing in startups in Charlottesville, right? So that's what this is taking.
So that's a democratization part.
Exactly, that's the democratization part.
Okay.
Yep. And it's about bringing in not just, if we get 5 founders together, right? This is the whole point. We get 5 founders together here, all raising capital. Each founder is bringing folks from their own network together, right? And so now all 5 of these founders are growing their personal network and their brand to all the other 4 companies' network.
So here's the nitty gritty. You, the community, have a chance to invest in a business you care about, and you don't need to be necessarily in the know to invest in the business.
Right.
They're bringing the opportunity to invest essentially to Main Street. And that's what this event at the Code Building is. Where perhaps in years past, it's the folks that run in the investor circles that had the first try to invest. You want to jump in here, I can tell.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Just saying.
Yeah.
It would be nice for everybody to be involved.
Yeah, I guess
That's
it's
all.
more so not just the first try, the only try,
Uh-huh.
right? It was the only try, and now there's other opportunities. There's opportunities for everybody now.
So let's highlight the businesses, fellas.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should take a moment too and give a little disclaimer that
Please.
in no way, shape, or form am I, if I talk about these businesses, am I promoting them, that we that you should or should not invest in them, and you should always consult your doctor before investing. Who do we have tonight? We've got 2 Main Street businesses, and we have 3 what we would call like tech startups, right?
Okay.
We've got a crew out of Crozet who's developed small engines, small electrical engines for aviation. They are already been crushing it for several years, and now they're just raising capital for growth. We have,
I was just going to say, think avionics for like moving people or large cargo for drones, like
Okay.
among other.
that company's called Alicord Tech.
Okay.
And then we have another tech company based right here out of Charlottesville called Circuit, and they are kind of like the evolution of online promotion, where they're utilizing, where we're now moving, right? You can utilize your community to then promote yourself online, and it becomes a whole new central platform for folks to come to. And then we have, they're sort of an earlier stage, but they're ready to get onto the market right now. So this is a great sort of like entry promotion for them. We have a local brewer here who's been brewing beer. Corey Hoffman's been brewing beer with Decipher now for about 2 years now, which is awesome. He's ready to take the plunge now. Super stoked. So he's going to open his new place, and this is his first opportunity to get his community together that he's been building at Decipher to then build his brand. It's called Neon Culture Brewing. And then we have another Main Street business. Actually, this one's based out of Richmond, TBT El Gallo. Carlos brings the energy. Guy is the man. They started a Mexican restaurant basically with a grill and a fold-out table at a farmer's market like 5 years ago. They did about 90 farmers markets, raised enough money through that to be able to open up their own place. So it's always been hard-won money. Opened up a little 500 square foot spot, and they've been blown out of that space for at 4 months in. So they're ready to open up a new spot, and they're going to come here and engage the community here as well. And then our last one is a company that's been very successful here in Charlottesville as well, called SceneThink. And Ryan and the team over there actually works with a lot of different organizations throughout Charlottesville, but throughout the United States as a events calendar sort of aggregator, right? And curators of calendars can come in and create their own calendar and then share that calendar and create an event, and then that event can be added to another calendar. So it's a way to sort of promote events across many different channels in a very easy shape or form. And they're already rock and rolling and just raising for growth as well.
And I think what's important about these companies as a backdrop is like, why crowdfunding? Why do they even need to do this? All 5 of these companies, no offense to them, but for almost all startups, institutional lending is practically not an option. And there's only so much sweat that can go around to push a product out. At some point, you need capital and sweat to have a thriving and successful company. If you don't have the resources, you need to raise money from investors. And that's what we're trying to offer through this event. That's what we are offering through this event on Tuesday.
So what's a successful event look like on Tuesday? Paint us the picture.
Okay. Honestly, everything about raising capital and everything about starting and running a business is all just about network. right? So bottom line, we have hundreds of people at the event coming to meet these founders, and all these founders are growing their network, not just through each other's founders' networks, but also just through the general community that didn't know any of them, that are being brought there right now through the I Love Cville show and all of our other channels, like all of our partner organizations that Justin can talk about. That would be great. Just be there and show up, right? But there's a deeper thing here, right? There are many places that businesses have to pitch their idea, right? But this is an event about investing. This is an event about not just investing in these founders, right, but investing in yourself. The whole purpose here is, and Justin sort of was alluding to this, is investing in startups is a ridiculously powerful wealth building tool. And it has only been open to, we don't think about it. We don't really think about that because most folks, which is 93% of Americans, are unaccredited investors who've been tied out of this for a long time, right? Those folks, we don't think about it because those folks have never had access to it, right? So we don't think about it as a powerful wealth building tool. But everybody in that 7% who does take advantage of it knows very clearly that it's a wildly powerful wealth building tool. And as Justin was mentioning before, it's like the reason that is when you invest in startups, you take a big risk, right? Because they're earlier stage, right? So there's a good chance that many of them may fail. But with risk, there's also reward on the other end, right?
There's the upside.
Exactly. So, while you may invest in a stock in the stock market and it may go up, you may double in 10 years or 20 years or something like that, which is nice. In this case, you put $1,000 down in a company, it's probably going to be worth zero in 5 years, right? Or it's going to be worth 10,000, or it's going to be worth 100,000, right? That's how this game works, right? So it's kind of a betting game. And so my hope is it's not just people showing up. It's people taking advantage of this tool, putting their first $100 down, putting their first $1,000 down, whatever they feel comfortable with, on one or a few of the companies that they love in the community here, and helping the community, helping the founders, but helping themselves in the future as well.
So I want to get Justin in the mix, and I'm going to do this with kind of a hypothetical.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
So I know the brand SceneThink well. Ryan DeRose, previously the owner of a digital advertising agency on the downtown mall, okay, where the livery stable, right next to the livery stable,
Nice.
Where his office was. He chose the brand SceneThink was created at that agency. And then he chose to pursue his passion of SceneThink, and he splintered from the advertising agency. And now Ryan, software guy, is creating a piece of digital infrastructure that can be leveraged and put in play by other brands. And we're seeing that now. And he's basically said, I've created a great calendar system that's seamless, that can be put in play regardless what space of business you're in. I see potential in that. I don't know if you want to call it SaaS. I don't know if you want to call it a white label product. It's probably a blend of both. I choose to invest in this, hypothetical, whatever that dollar amount is. How do I potentially get a return?
Sure.
Walk me through, are we getting stock options? Are we getting points on profit? Are we getting, where's the payday?
So there's a few ways that these startups are raising equity, and what's nice about WeFunder and other portal platforms is you can kind of pick, you could do a SAFE, which is an acronym for Simple Agreement for Future Equity. You could do a convertible note, which walks and talks and acts like a promissory note, but could convert into equity. It could be a true equity issuance, or it could be a revenue share, which I'm a big fan of. But
That's points on profit.
Pardon?
That's points on the profit, right? A percentage of profit.
That's right.
Yeah,
revenue,
yeah.
revenue
In a
or
sense.
profit.
Yeah,
Okay.
in revenue, this
That's
is,
right.
but yeah.
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right. And so, like, let's assume they're using a SAFE. I would think a SAFE is probably the most. Is that what they're raising? Do you even know?
I don't know what they're predicting.
Okay, let's say it's a SAFE. Again, simple agreement for future equity, and they've got, let's say, I don't know, let's say it's a 10 million pre-money valuation. Like, this is all back of the napkin. There's two ways SAFEs convert, either upon a next equity financing event or an actual exit. Like, when are you going to get your money back? Through a SAFE, most likely an exit, perhaps an IPO, very unlikely. For most startups, it's going to be a strategic acquisition, probably from like a bigger fish, if you will. And so I think, when do you get your money back? Depending on the instrument, let's say it's a SAFE. Let's say it's equity. Let's say it's a convertible note. odds are it's going to happen on an exit. I would say in 5 to 7 years, I'll have a good sense of whether that's going to happen or I'm not going to get much back at all, if anything. And then what happens is the pre-money valuation that you lock in, now there's some fluctuations here because you've got equity incentive plans that are diluting interest, but essentially the pre-money valuation upon that exit, whatever that increase is essentially your multiple of gain. So a 10 million pre-money valuation, you exit at 20 million, you've got a 2x on your return. Roughly speaking, again, there's some variables there, but big variables, but just back of the napkin, like that's how you can think about it. So when you look at a company and you say, okay, this company has the way I would think of it is, okay, this company has let's say a 10 million pre-money valuation is what they're offering. Do I think someday that they could sell for $1 billion? I don't know, but let's say they do and they hit the moon. I believe that's a 1,000x return if I'm doing the math right. $1,000 down, $1 million out.
Which is not like an unreasonable thing to think, right? Like it's oftentimes this happens, right? But I think the key point that Justin bring it up is like this is an illiquid investment, right? You can invest $1,000 in Apple today and take $1,000 out of Apple tomorrow, so, assuming the stock doesn't go anywhere, right? But in this case, you invest $1,000 now, you don't get to see or do anything with that money until probably, as Justin said, an acquisition happens.
Yeah. So it'd be 100x returns, or 100. Yeah, not 1,000, 100x in that example. Sorry.
So questions coming in fast and furious for you guys.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So Grayson routinely watches the program. He has this question. Will you guys have vetted financials prior to presentation?
Great question.
I can answer this one
go
actually.
ahead.
I think actually all of these folks will not have vetted financials prior to the event, but and this is kind of an interesting thing that I guess we could get into. All of these folks that are raising today are on the 19th. Technically, they're going to be in this space called testing the waters, which essentially means that everybody who invests that day is actually just making a reservation. And so there is an opportunity for folks who do want to see the financials. They'll have an opportunity to see the financials before actually converting that fully into an investment. So
if there's an agreement to make an investment, you get to vet the financials before actually stroking the check.
Correct.
Is what you're saying.
Yep.
What's the concept of scaling this idea? This is the POP, right? The proof of performance. So you guys have the POP here. Is the idea to take this kind of like on the road and do this at other localities and jurisdictions?
Okay. Not me, but
yeah.
I think we've
This is this is something I'm particularly stoked on. Yeah. Where I live here in Charlottesville, right? So this is a very important event for me as part of this community in Central Virginia. And I've been like just amazingly stoked to be able to work with Justin on this. But in the end, right, like WeFunder, at WeFunder, we have a team of folks who are just focused in specific areas, right? We've got, a wonderful lady down in Northwest Arkansas in Tulsa doing this. We have a gentleman in Nashville in Tennessee doing this. We just hired a fantastic woman in Louisville in Kentucky, or Louisville in Kentucky, I should say. And so the goal here is that we've got individuals in a community just focusing on those communities, building community within those communities in the startup scene, and then tying in these investors in the community, these aspiring investors, like to call them, right? Like, I mean, all of us are really these aspiring investors, tying then these aspiring investors in through these events to invest in the startups in their backyard.
Do we see this eventually becoming, like, if you gain traction with the concept, the friends and family round? Or is this the round after friends and family here?
It could be both.
Yeah, it's a good point, Justin, because it's like, when WeFunder began, I think it really was the friends and family round. There were all these little restrictions around it. The government, didn't really let everybody do, didn't let the platforms do the right thing. So it really was just the friends and family round. Okay, I kind of want to raise some money. I don't want to have a board seat over my head, with all these angel investors and VCs sort of telling me what to do early in my company, right? I just need to raise $150K. Let me bring in the friends and family, right? And that's for actually some of the folks at the event this weekend. That's what that is, right? Like Corey with Neon Culture. This is his friends and family round, right? And so there's a piece of that. But what we see at WeFunder too is like this is just a piece of a bigger piece, right? Like we're the home of the community round, which means that we bring in not just the WeFunder community, right? But then also the friends and family within that community, and also my goal with this, right, and Justin's goal is the community, the geographical community that's involved as well.
Because here's the thing, we've been focusing a lot on the value to investors. The primary reason I'm here, and I'm an attorney by trade, and I mostly represent founders by choice. And I think that what piques my interest about crowdfunding beyond the opportunities for investors is just how great this can be for founders, and certain types of founders in particular, because what I envision is, let's say you can get one check from one investor for $1 million, or you could get 1,000 checks for $1,000 for $1 million from 1,000 people. I think about what Thanksgiving would look like for those 1,000 people going to their respective families, sitting at the table and saying, hey, I invested in X, and it's awesome, you should hear about it, here's the website, I'm an owner, and just watch that just cause this just ballooning of brand awareness and recognition that you just can't get from one investor with writing one check.
James Clark giving Jeff some props on the feed. You got the local media here in Charlottesville, one TV station, one print outlet watching you guys on the feed. With the media watching in Richmond and Charlottesville, why don't I get the who, what, when, where, why out again? Tuesday, April 9th, 4:30 p.m., the Code Building. WeFounder Pitch Night.
19th, sorry.
April 19th, is that what I said?
Yes.
Tuesday, April 19th, 4:30 p.m., Code Building. WeFounder Pitch Night. Why do you like working with founders?
Oh, it's always messy, and
Yeah.
but they're the ones creating stuff,
Yeah.
and you're in the trenches, and I guess I like pain, but it's just founders. They inspire me. It's like fuel. It's like coffee every day. It's truly just watching what these folks create, and sometimes fail. I mean, many times fail, but I mean the courage they have is inspiring to me. And I hope I get to do it the rest of my career.
Danny O'Day's watching of Politico on the show here.
Oh, wow.
I'll throw this to you guys. Do you expect future iterations to have a deeper roster of pitching businesses? I mean, this is the first one. I think you guys have done a freaking hell of a job getting, the first one's always the hardest.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it's been cake. It's been easy.
Yeah, the guys,
It's been easy.
the first
Growing
one's
pains.
always the most difficult. Do you expect deeper roster of businesses? And how can people, do they reach out to you, Jeff?
Yeah. Welcome to reach out to me. I mean, actually, just give my email. It's jeff@wefunder.com. You're welcome to reach out to me directly for sure. But I would be probably, yes, that first person to talk to. I'm very much like a expectation setter, right? Make sure this is a good path for everybody, and also like a connector. I think that's a really important point, right? At WeFunder, we are genuinely there for the founders. It's all just about if this isn't the right fit, how can we find you the right fit? And maybe it's the right fit, but it's a piece. Let me connect you with an angel investor over here. We have a network across the entire country filled with accelerators, incubators, angel groups, VCs. So we can be a great connector for folks. So happy to connect, Jeff@wefunder.com. But it's yes, definitely, as we see, we just launched this communityround.com recently, and you see these next level kind of companies, Mercury Bank, Levels Health, DoorVest, raising capital from their community when they could get all the money they wanted from VC, right? But they're doing it because they want to engage their customers. They want to give back to their customers. And that, I think, is going to create the energy to get a lot of folks, open their mind to a lot of folks who are already at that VC stage to go, oh yeah, but this makes sense for a little piece of the round. So I do think it's going to be kind of a deeper roster, which will now allow everybody, all of us, to invest in some really, really neat companies that are a little further along too.
Cool. More questions coming in for you guys. Sally Klein is watching outside Richmond, and she wants to know, what do you guys expect to be the traditional or the average investment for those that are in the crowd? How long do the pitch men and women have to make their presentation? And are there judges a part of the event?
No judges. I would say average investment's what, $500, $600?
Yeah, probably at the event, the average investment's probably going to be somewhere around $500 to $1,000. The average investment across WeFunder is about $1,000 to $1,500.
Yeah, but I think it can go as low as 100, right?
Yeah, $100. Anybody can invest for as low as $100.
And if someone wants to go deeper?
So everybody has their own campaign page, right? So all of these founders will have their own campaign page. It's not just about watching their 3 to 5 minute pitch, right? In fact, the 3 to 5 minute pitch that evening is all just going to be kind of like an emotional connection to that human.
It's a taste.
Yeah, it's just a little taste. And then they've got a booth, and you can go talk to them, and you can ask them deeper questions, right? So the event is 4:30 to 7, and so there's plenty of opportunity to connect with them there. But then they have this page which has detailed information. It has background on the founder. It has some highlights on why to invest. It has a little video there to dig a little deeper into who they are, and then it has their whole pitch deck section or the story of who they are. And then again, as Grayson asked earlier, at some point it'll actually have their financials too, if that's an important piece for folks to look into. And of course, it has their term sheet as well.
And you mentioned earlier about like how we could define event success here. For me, success is not everyone in the room invests to the issuers or the startup's maximum amount that they're seeking. I don't expect that to happen. My primary goal is for people to understand what this is because it's so new. I think a lot of people still think this is like Kickstarter and it's like a gift kind of thing. And so like that's one of the primary reasons we wanted to be here today. But I also think that just getting some investment, some general understanding, and then I think success here is that our founders are able to take that momentum and fill out their raise post-event. So I'm not expecting a full raise at the event, but I'm expecting that momentum, that viral growth to begin really now, but officially on Tuesday.
Well, I feel like the event has already been successful because you're gaining brand awareness for those that are participating.
Yeah.
So the participants already are benefiting, and if they gain investments, if they get any kind of cash from this, then they're going to benefit on the back end as well. So I love it. I would think an idea like this would be perfect for a live streaming scenario. Do you guys have any capacity to do that, to put it on the internet from an archive standpoint?
I think we're going to pass on the live stream this time around. I think from a capacity standpoint, but we're going to video it, right? So we'll have the ability to check it out afterwards. Yeah.
If you're ever interested with future iterations, we can talk about hosting it here with the participant on set, the camera, and our infrastructure. And we can utilize our second floor as a position potentially for the audience to watch the stream. Because then at that point you could potentially get folks not even just on the location, investing in the idea. I love it. So the community is responding here. More questions coming in for you guys. Can you give us a snapshot? So this might be a tougher one here. A snapshot on the businesses that are involved or how we can learn more about them so we can prepare prior to the event. And is there a cost to come to the event that Spencer is watching in Williamsburg?
Neat. If you don't mind, Justin, I think the number one thing that everyone can do is, and I know you were going to put that link in the show notes, right?
We do. The Scene Think link?
Yes, the Scene Think link, exactly. Yep, to the Scene Think calendar page. You can actually click through that and then click through to the pre-register for the event. If you pre-register for the event, you'll end up getting an email there. And if you can't show, you can't show. But if you pre-register for the event, you'll get an email that is going to show you exactly how to log in, right? Create an account, and then it's going to take you exactly, and another email to take you exactly to the page. To check out all the different companies all on one single page. So that's probably the best place to start.
More questions coming in here. And Tracy, you're doing a hell of a job of sharing the link as well. Tracy Green is crushing it right now. This one is coming in from McLean. Tracy does crush it. She makes moves in this community. This is coming in from McLean. This is perfect, I would say. This is Tommy and McLean. This concept is perfect for a business that can scale. How do the panelists think that this would work for a business like a brewery or a restaurant that's more tied to a location?
So this is why
that's a good question.
That's a great question. And so I don't know if we mentioned earlier on the last question that the event's free. Did
I didn't mention that.
Yeah. So the event is free, and one free drink ticket if you're over the age of 21.
That's right.
Courtesy of WeFunder. But I mentioned earlier why I'm a fan of revenue sharing agreements. I think lifestyle companies, just to define it real quick, I think a lifestyle company is a company that could be bankable after because it's like a historically successful industry. Like a startup, you don't know what your market is. You don't know if your products or service is even going to be successful. So I would say a startup is in that camp. A lifestyle company would be, say, a restaurant or like a juice company or something like that. There are successful others. You're trying to create another one. I think revenue sharing agreements are awesome for those companies.
For sure.
Because, and I say revenue intentionally, it could be profit. I think profit can be easily manipulated, but revenue cannot. But what I love about revenue sharing agreements in comparing it to traditional promissory notes is you pay back your revenue share given the circumstances of how well you perform. There's not a fixed amortization schedule on your promissory note that you have to meet, even if, God forbid, there's another COVID variant that causes, say, a restaurant to have some tough times. A revenue share will address that and
You're
allow
talking
you,
loan versus rev share, is what you're basically saying right there.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
and that can be done and is done through WeFunder as well. And
It's
I
a
think that's
super
awesome.
beautiful
And
system.
it's less dilutive because once you pay back the revenue share, it's over.
Yeah, it acts like a loan in that sense. It's amazing because but just talking about, you're going to
get the
pick up,
payback.
you're going to pick a percentage of payback quarterly, right? So yeah, if you do, as mentioned, COVID happens or winter's slow for you or something like that, right? You just pay back less that quarter. And then when summer's rocking, you pay back more. It's cool.
More questions coming in, guys. This is coming in from, call it Lynchburg area. It looks like on the heat map, the IP heat map, it's right outside Lynchburg. Do you guys see the businesses being a part of this, getting the investment on site? Or what is the time window for investment after pitch?
Cool.
I-
Yeah. Time window is up to each founder, right? So they can leave their campaign page open as long as they care to. And I think some founders actually in the group here will probably do the event as their big launch, take a second, step back, reorganize, and then, kind of put together a big campaign. But anyone who wants to check out the businesses that evening and then, take a second to breathe and then invest, you're welcome to do that as well, because the pages will be open for quite a while. What I will say again, though, is like they're all in this reservation space. So if you're feeling good about it, make a reservation, and then you do have an opportunity to then convert it to an investment.
From LinkedIn, guys, a lot of questions over here via LinkedIn DM. Ask the panelists, please, if they expect the businesses to do future iterations of a pitch night like this, or is it one and done? And then please ask Jeff how he saw investors investing through what networks locally here in Central Virginia prior to an event like this.
Oh, interesting. I'll actually point that last second one to you.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with the first one?
What was the first question again?
The first one is,
Oh,
would
the iterations. Yeah, of course.
Can they do more than one?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right.
So there's a max to what you can raise, and what's beautiful about there was some regulatory changes in 2021 that took a 12-month rolling cap that an issuer or a startup could raise per 12 rolling months was $1.07 million, and now it's $5 million. And so essentially, like if they max out, yes, they could do it again, but they might have to wait until
12 months.
12 months.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good take. And how about the one where how investors were investing locally prior to concepts like this?
I think you would have to join one of the two prominent angel groups, either CAV Angels with a UVA affiliation or CAN, which is an acronym for the Charlottesville Angel Network. There's other angel networks as well.
Or word of mouth?
Or word
Yeah.
of mouth, yeah, or just like general informal networks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, the whole point here is that the only folks invited to those groups legally, not by any other tip, are accredited investors.
And there is a good reason for that. I mean, it's
It's a higher stakes investing.
It's higher
Yeah.
stakes, but also a lot of like counsel for investors or issuers as well, or startups. I know you don't like me to be too legal, so I'm trying to watch myself here.
He's an attorney.
Doing
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
I know.
You're doing a hell of a job.
I'm trying to
I
be
think that was the
careful.
first
I'm
issuers of the whole
I'm
time.
trying to be careful here. But there's a higher standard of disclosures that startups generally have to give to unaccredited investors. Like it's not impossible to bring on unaccredited investors. It's just it opens up a startup to potentially greater exposure points by bringing in. So a good rule of thumb is to not for startups, and this Title III crowdfunding regulation says we don't care about all that. We're going to protect the unaccredited investor. We're going to allow them to be involved and not give the same sort of risk to the startups as pre-2016 when these regulations came to fruition.
And this is actually, if I can tag on that for a second, because I think there's probably some founders listening who are wondering.
I mean, there are. I mean, you got Johnny Ornalis watching, the owner of El Mariachi in Guadalajara watching
Nice, love it.
the program here.
Great
You
stuff.
got some that's a heavy hitter.
That is a heavy hitter for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. one of the things you wouldn't want too is a bunch of lines on your cap table, which essentially means that you have all of these, if you've got hundreds of people investing in you, that all of these people have their own terms and they've got their own deal that happens through the back end. In this case, all of these companies that are raising through WeFunder, right, in this event, all of these investors, hundreds, with the group of them, thousands of investors, they're all going to be wrapped up into one line on each person's cap table, i.e. everybody invests into one vehicle, and then that vehicle actually invests into the company itself.
And that was
this
a new
is good
change,
for the
right?
investor, and this is good for the founder as well.
Yeah, and that wasn't legal until 2021.
Yeah,
right?
the SPV piece, wasn't legal until last
And so
March,
that
which is
was
big.
that was some of the issues. It used to be the $1 million cap I mentioned earlier, and you couldn't do this, so it was annoying. You'd have like 1,000 people on your cap table,
It's a disaster.
and that is tough. And whereas having like one, essentially like an investment LLC with all these investors wrapped up in a bow by WeFunder or other portals like them, makes life a lot easier for a founder.
Can you give, so I know of you, and I'm not going to, speak out of turn with some of the deals that you've helped facilitate. But can you give background, Justin, on some of the work you do from, brokering business deals, helping broker some of those deals? You don't have to get to specifics. I'm not
Sure.
trying to, break any confidentiality here.
Sure. I represent businesses of all shapes and flavors, both startup and lifestyle companies. I help them buy businesses, sell businesses, buy assets, buy certain assets. I think that I help various real estate developers and real estate investors in town as well. I guess if I could think about trends that I've been seeing in Charlottesville, I think that on the startup side, I think when COVID started, I think I saw kind of a dip in startup activity, especially right in the beginning, like in March of 2020 and April of 2020. Real estate development held strong. I think it's just because it's a longer play. And I think real estate investment has come on a lot stronger, particularly after the downturn of the Delta variant. I think that there was more activity there too.
Fellas, you guys are fantastic.
You're fantastic, Jeff.
Thank you. Jeff and Justin, why don't we have some, we went a little extra on time here. Why don't we have some closing thoughts on this? Final words, I suggest getting the who, what, when, where, why in there again. And for the media that's watching and for the folks that are watching with this event that's coming up very, very soon.
Yeah, why don't you start with just some of the sponsors?
Sure. So again, Tuesday, 4:30, the new Code building on the mall, the old ice skating rink area. 5 startups are going to be raising money from various business backgrounds. It is primarily and I guess jointly hosted by WeFunder and CBIC. Again, that's the Charlottesville Business Innovation Council. And I guess like if I could really think of a parting thought, actually, let me just say one thing. And our sponsor, Sandbox, out of Richmond, and one of our sponsors, Clockwork, a local startup here helping with founder investor relations management, are our sponsors. Just wanted to say thank you to them real quick. I think as a parting thought, so I've been putting on events and programs and events for CBIC for I think 4 or 5 years now, and it is like one of my favorite things to do. I've gotten to meet so many cool people, got to focus on so many cool different industries, and it's been tough for us at CBIC with COVID because our main thing is events and being with people. Like the gala that we have, and we have one in May, is our biggest event of the year, and we haven't had it live in 2 years because of COVID. And so, I guess as a parting thought, I would say, if y'all are out there and you're in this ecosystem, it'd be great to see you for the first time or again, because it's been a while. So I hope you can attend on Tuesday.
Such a good point.
Yeah, well said. So I'll add this from Tracy and then throw it to you. CBIC is proud to help bring this inaugural event to the community as the convener and voice of tech and innovation entrepreneurial ecosystem. This is precisely the kind of event that drives growth and success. That's Tracy Green watching the program. Great take right there from the executive director of the Charlottesville Angel Network. Let's get Jeff with a final word.
Yes, to piggyback Justin's last thought there. It's oftentimes at a lot of these events in the startup community, we see the same cast of characters there, right? This is just an opportunity for like everybody in the community who's ever had any interest in business to come meet people and say hello, right? Like the startup scene doesn't have to be this, exclusive sort of environment. Like people are interested in business and businesses across the United States in varying backgrounds, maybe blue collar, white collar, whatever. Come say hello, come join the fun. It's going to be a good time to meet everybody. I think truly coming to just understand, as Justin said, at a minimum, whether you invest or not, understand what this is and what it means for everybody. This is our opportunity, I think, to create generational community wealth here in Charlottesville.
Well said. Gentlemen, you crushed it. Justin Ritter and Jeff Dion.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
You too.
Would love to do stay in touch, and we can do a follow-up
Sounds good.
and continue to highlight all the good that you guys are doing for the community. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much, Jack.
thank you
Really
guys.
appreciate
Yeah, man.
That's a fantastic event that we'd love to highlight. April 19th, 4:30 p.m. at the Code Building. A pitch night that I think is extremely positive for the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Charlottesville and in Central Virginia. We will follow them closely as they gain traction and continue to have success. Vanessa Parkhill, Earlysville, welcome to the show. We love you, Queen of Earlysville. Couple other items that I want to get out of the notebook here on a Thursday. We put on the I Love Seville network the plans for Brazos Tacos and Barracks Road Shopping Center. I'm so pumped for this locally owned business to open a second location in the old Bricks Pizza spot. You talk about risk-taking and upside, going from a taqueria in Ix Park where rent is manageable with Ludwig Kutner and Alan Kajin as your landlords, to renting an island pad restaurant in Barracks Road Shopping Center, the highest rent district in the city of Charlottesville, Stonefields, Albemarle County, and that's risk with some potential great upside. The island pad restaurant where Brazos is heading, the old Bricks Pizza, I would bet you is in the top 5 highest rents for a restaurant in the city of Charlottesville. Ralph Sampson's Tap House is paying the highest rent of any restaurant in this city. They have a massive restaurant. It's an island pad in the most expensive rent district in Charlottesville, Barracks Road. Brazos and that new location in Barracks Road is going to probably be in the top 5, if not the top 3, from highest rents in the city. So props to the team behind Brazos who are making a gutsy and ballsy move here. Gutsy and ballsy move. A lot of tacos to sell and margaritas to sell to cover rent at that clip. I think they will do well. I think the community is going to have to support them and rally around them. But I think they're going to do well in Barracks. So it's a second location for them, Brazos, heading to Barracks Road Shopping Center. Couple other items out of the notebook. Pearl's Bake Shop, one time had a location on West Main Street. Pearl's Bake Shop started in Richmond, has since been sold. So Pearl's Bake Shop, guys, is a bakery that was started by a founder from Richmond that is now heading to a group of sisters from one family-owned business to another. Lori Blakely, I know her husband Zirkle well. Zirkle is a banker and also very much tied to Virginia Prep Sports as a news aggregator, providing a recruiting service, and just following prep sports closely. Lori Blakely has sold the business that she worked so hard to build. Props and kudos to her. 3 sisters from Richmond are purchasing the Richmond staple and brand. the West End Bakery at 5811 Patterson Avenue that had a location on West Main Street, a few doors down from Meyer Restaurant. Another item out of the notebook that I'd like to get to, Food and Wine Magazine named Charlottesville one of the best food cities in the country. This came out yesterday. One of the best food cities in the country, Food and Wine Magazine. Small cities, they highlighted Boise, Idaho, they highlighted Cincinnati, Ohio, they highlighted Omaha, Nebraska, Charlottesville, Indianapolis, Indiana. Charlottesville was one of the ones highlighted by one of the most prestigious publications in the country. So our depth in restaurants, again being acknowledged by national publications with global reach. I'm going to say this once again on the show. As we continue to get national and global notoriety, best place to live, best foodie town, quality of life, breweries, ACC Sports, the downtown mall, the second biggest wedding venue on the East Coast behind Charleston. As these accolades and acknowledgments continue to flood this community, the cost of living is going to get even more expensive. I try to emphasize this point on this show often. We have not truly seen the impact of what admitting more students than ever before, which UVA is doing this fall, hiring more staff than ever before, which UVA is doing this fall, and the impact that the School of Data Science will have on this community, which will open soon on Ivy Road. This community undoubtedly is going to get, from a housing standpoint, more expensive. We are evolving, and there's a lot of positive with it, into the Silicon Valley of the East Coast. The only collateral damage is the cost of living is going to get very crazy very soon. Two other items I'd like to get to on today's show. We put a list of businesses that are for sale on iloveseville.com. We talked about the tallest buildings in the city of Charlottesville. That list, the top 6, located on iloveseville.com right now. Much like Justin, our firm very much likes working alongside businesses in the Central Virginia community that are growing or looking to exit or looking for investments. I think we've been doing a good job of that over the last 14 years of supporting that ecosystem. I'm very excited for the short-term future of the community. Very excited for the human capital that is pitching tent and setting up shop and creating headquarters here in this community. And last thing I want to close upon is the news we woke to this morning. Elon Musk now making an unsolicited $43 billion offer to take Twitter private. He's the world's richest person, and he's offered $54.20 per share cash to take Twitter private and to completely revamp a social media platform that frankly has seen some better days. A 50-year-old who went from initially a passive investor to a board member to now wanting to buy the entire company, take it private, and reshape it as he sees fits. The best is still to come for Twitter, but this is a microcosm of what truly wealthy folks can do for publicly traded companies, good and bad. If you're a shareholder in Twitter, I'd be taking the money and saying, Musk, take the company and run, because this company has struggled mightily over the years. He wants to turn it into the true community forum of free speech. And I'm not making this about politics at all, but I find it very sad, certainly ironic, and incredibly infuriating that the former president's Twitter account was dismantled and banned, and the Russian president, a warmongering bully, still has a presence on the platform. That is head-scratching, to say the least, for me. If the platform is truly going to become the source of free speech, then it needs to allow its users to be the sources of free speech without limitations. So Musk trying to take Twitter private in a $43 billion deal. Wow. Thursday edition of the I Love CVille show. For Judah Wickhauer, my name is Jerry Miller. We'll see you tomorrow at 10:15. Take care.